Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. I hope everyone is doing fantastically well. Okay, now someone asked this and they said, please, what do I need to do if I need to transition from a supply teacher to a permanent teaching role? Okay, now there isn't so much difference, okay, just few things that you need to be aware of to be able to do that transition from supply teaching to full-time teaching role. Now, the first thing I would advise to do is find a school that works for you. As a supply teacher, that's one of the benefits is that you get to travel a lot and you get to visit various schools, different setup, okay? So you have some sort of idea of different types of schools, environments, counties, whatever, okay? So you've been quite you have breadth, okay? So therefore I would say to be able to go back into a permanent role, find the right school, because if you don't get the right school, you are definitely going to be frustrated, okay? So number one, find the right school that is good for you and that meets all of your needs based on your experiences as a supply teacher. Then the second thing I'll say is be proactive, okay? Be proactive. As a supply teacher, you visit so many schools, you interact with so many heads, you interact with so many teachers. Make yourself employable, okay? Make yourself employable and be proactive. Go the extra mile. So if for instance you visited a school or you taught in a school that you really like and you would want to be employed by the school, then I would say go the extra mile, okay? Do the things you're not supposed to do. Mark when you're not supposed to mark. Spend time. Tidy the classroom. Ask if you can come for teachers meeting, okay? Ask if you can ask if you can take some certain roles. Make yourself employable, okay? And then that way you're more likely to grab the attention of the head teacher, who's probably likely going to give you a job. And even if they don't even give you a job, but at least you will leave a mark there, which will bring me on to another point as why this is necessary, okay? But I will address that when I get there. But be proactive. Don't just say, oh, because I'm a supply teacher, I will go in and I will go out and I don't care what happens, okay? I'm not going to be friendly to anyone. I'm not going to associate with anyone. I'm not going to mingle. I don't really care. No, okay? Try as much as possible to be proactive. Smile when you can. Be friendly. Get to know people. Interact with people. Go the extra mile. If your sole purpose is to get into a permanent role, go the extra mile. It might not be for that school, but you might need that school at some point later on. Now, retrain yourself. Okay, that's the third point. Retrain yourself. As a supply teacher, you tend to pick a lot of bad habits as you go along because there's no one there to check. There's no one there who's keeping you on your toes. You don't have to submit your plans. You don't have to plan. You don't have to submit your plan to anyone. To be honest, no one really holds you accountable apart from you holding yourself accountable, because you know you have to do a good job when you go in. Okay, nobody else, you're not accountable to anyone else, and as a result, you're more likely to begin to pick some bad habits as a teacher. Okay, so you probably get lazy with your planning. You probably lose the ability to plan and plan effectively, because now people get to do the planning for you. All you do is speak it and teach. Okay, so you lose that ability. Whatever you don't do for a very long time, you forget it, or you struggle to do it when you try to go back to it. You might slide in your behavior management skills, because again, as a supply teacher, you are bound to meet a lot of behavior. So some people might just say, I don't really care. My job is just to teach you today and I'm off. If you like, you can scream the roof down. If you like, you learn. If you like, you don't want to learn. So that's a habit that you can pick. And if you're not careful, when you get a permanent job, you probably take the same approach into your permanent job, and you wouldn't last long. To be honest, you are not going to last long. So you need to retrain yourself. Be accountable to yourself and to the future, knowing that, okay, my future is I want to get a permanent role, so I have to do everything I can to be on my toes, to be at the best behavior, to not pick any bad habits that in the future will be a problem to me. Okay, so make sure that you are sort of accountable to yourself and to the agency that employs you for the future. Now, have a backstory. Number 4, have a backstory. What do I mean by a backstory? Now, if you've been teaching, supply teaching for a very long time, okay, it is very, very usual if you start applying for permanent role for your prospective employer to look at your CV and go, why has this person been teaching for a very long time? Is there something more to this? Okay, there's definitely going to be raised eyebrows, because they'll be thinking, okay, is it that this person is not a good teacher? Is it that this person can't keep a steady job? So there will be a lot of raised eyebrow as to the reason why you've been teaching, supply teaching, for a very long time. So this is where your backstory comes. Okay, have a good backstory that you can give when you're called for an interview, because they're going to ask you, why have you been doing supply for a very long time? So then you have a story that it makes sense, not one that has been plucked from the sky, one that makes sense. Oh, I had young children, and because I wanted my young children to grow up before I get into teaching, to be able to give the teaching position my full-time attention, therefore I decided to do supply teaching. That is a backstory. Okay, I did supply teaching because I had to look after my husband, or my mother, or my father, who was ill, and therefore I couldn't afford to keep a permanent role because of this reason. Perfect. Okay, so make sure you have a backstory to why you have been supply teaching for a very long time, so people don't get the wrong end of the stick to say, okay, this person is not suitable because they've been doing this for too long. Now, the 5th one I would say is pick the right references. Okay, now this is where point 2 sort of makes sense, right? When I say be proactive in the school that you are, because you don't know where you're going to need them. Now, you need a reference at some point, okay? And if you've not been in a permanent role for quite a while where you can call on your head teacher or somebody, then you need reference from somewhere. So this is where you can now go to the previous schools that you've worked and you've had good relationships with them, and then they can act as a reference for you. But if you go there and you burn the bridges and you're not being friendly and you're not being nice, then you're going to struggle to try and get someone to do you a reference. I have seen where people have reached out for reference and they've given them a very nasty reference. I have seen, I have heard, and I have seen. Okay, so it's not something that is new. It can happen. Someone reached out and said, oh, please, can you do a reference for me? And the person wrote, this person is not a good teacher. Simple. So make sure that you build relationships wherever you are. Good relationships. Go the extra mile. Do the best. If they don't employ you, at least they are going to be useful as a reference, as a referee for where you are going to be applying for a job. So that is why I say you need to make sure that you have the right attitude wherever you go. Okay, so these are the things. And then finally, number 6 is professional development. I can't stress this enough. As a supply teacher, you may not have the leisure of being in a school where professional developments are thrown your way, or where you can ask for your head teacher to pay for trainings for you. You don't have that. You don't have that freedom to do that, because again, if you want to do any training, it has to come from your pocket. So some people let that aspect slide because, like, nobody's checking. I don't need any of those. I'm a supply teacher. But then the sad bit is when you then need a job, and then you go with your CV and the last training you did was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, then that does not portray the right message to whoever you're trying to get a job from. So make sure that you invest in trainings on your own. Okay, make sure you invest in trainings. Look online. You have Event Tribe. You have a whole lot. Your county council might have their teaching sections where they do lots of training. TES. Have a look. Just spend time and make sure at least you do 2 or 3 trainings every single year. 2 or 3 every single year maximum. Okay, every single year, just so that you are up to speed with what is going on in the profession. Don't forget to read articles, subscribe to, if you have a union, subscribe to them. They will send articles, they will read blogs. Just keep yourself in the loop of what is going on in the teaching profession, so you don't look as sound far-fetched when you go for an interview and they're asking you questions about what's happening and you don't know. But for me, the most important thing is professional training, development, training. Train, 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 and train. Okay, keep training yourself. Yes, it might be expensive because it's now coming from your pocket, but if your aim is to get a permanent job at some point, then I would say that should be one of your priority as you are doing supply teaching. So yeah, so for me and for the subscriber who asked for this, I hope this has answered all of your questions. And I'm also going to be doing another video where I'll be explaining the sort of professional developments that you're going to need as you move on in your teaching career. But for today, I hope your question has been answered, and I hope it's useful to everyone out there who are also seeking for this sort of answer. Okay, have a wonderful week, and I will see you soon. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and share my videos, and hit the notification bell for when I upload new videos so you know you'll be the first to watch. All right, have a fantastic weekend or week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.